Hi everyone, get ready. Today is day one of your 10 Days to Improved Posture Challenge. I'm so excited you're here with me. We're gonna get started right away with opening up the shoulders, strengthening the backs of the legs to help you stand tall, and just getting into a place where you feel just a little bit taller, stronger, and longer in your body. Come join me down on the mat, laying on your side right away. I am just going to have you place your arm under your head here. If you have some sensitivities in your neck and you want to add a little bit of an extra cushion, you can grab a pillow or a yoga block. That is totally up to you. Find a place that's comfortable. This challenge is all about feeling good. So we're going to lay down and you're going to stack your head on top of a bent arm. Now, what's going to tend to happen is that we're going to want to bring the head forward. You'll notice this maybe if you're a side sleeper too, but we're going to correct that now and start to pay attention to it. We're going to bring the head back so that the ears are in line with the centers of the shoulders. And you want to be aware of that as you're working out, as you're doing this challenge. So the head is back in line with the rest of the neck. Top arm reaches out in front of you. Now I want you to start to draw a circle with those fingertips. Keep your hand on the ground as long as you can. We're going to reach the fingertips up, making their way overhead. And then they're going to start to go behind the body. And as they do, I want you to allow your chest to reach up to the sky, your head to follow the direction of the hand, come all the way down. You want to keep your arms straight with maybe a little softness in the elbow. Bring your arm all the way over your hip and then return it to the starting position. I'm going to scoot forward a little bit so I get a little less wall. You keep going. Reach the arm up. Take your time here. You'll notice that we're going to move pretty slow through these exercises most of the time. So you can really take the time to stretch the muscles, stretch the connective tissue that might be a little sticky, get things moving, rotate the spine, let the head go with it, mobilize your neck, see what might be stuck, what might be holding, and see if you can allow it to release a little bit. Open back up. See if you can think about your top knee reaching forward. That makes it a little bit harder to twist, but that's so good for you. Come all the way back to center, starting position. Let's go the other way. Hand comes up over the hip. We open the chest, we reach, and then come all the way back over the head and forward. Take that again. Breathe continuously here. Take your time and come across. One more. Reach over and up and all the way back. Beautiful. Let's take that on the other side now. So you can just flip around if you'd like, or you can flip your body to the other side of your mat. Head rests on the hand, and then take a moment to make sure you haven't traveled your head too far forward. We're opening up. We're stacking that spine. Reach the arm in front of you, and then take it up overhead. Open. Keep reaching your top knee forward. Let the head follow the hand. And yes, we're doing a stretch for the shoulder here. Yes, we want the arm to move, but can you also let the chest open so we're getting a nice rotation through the spine too? One of the things that limits us in our posture and having a strong spine is actually a lack of mobility. So we're working on mobilizing that upper back for good posture. And good organ function and all of that good stuff. Reverse the direction of the arm. Bring the hand over the hip, open the chest, and circle it overhead and back to your starting position. Take it 2 more times. Over the hip, open the chest, reach, and over. 1 more time. Hand goes over the hip. Remember, we're rotating the spine, letting it open. You might find that you have one side that's tighter than the other, and that is totally normal. Now we're going to come up and right away go into a hands and knees position. Hands directly under shoulders, knees directly underneath the hips. I want you to spread your fingers wide. I want you to feel your tailbone gently lifting up to the sky, your sits bones gently widening, and your sternum slightly reaching forward. And then the other thing I want you to make sure you're doing is always looking a little bit in front of your fingertips. If you ever find that you're looking between your hands and see your legs, that means that you've dropped your head and your neck is not neutral. So let's see if we can keep those ears lined up with the shoulders like we did before, and just a touch of a lift of your chin, lengthening through the neck. We close our front ribs to engage the core, draw the belly in and up ever so slightly. You do still want to be able to breathe. And then we'll extend the right arm and the left leg. Torso stays stable. You're going to reach out, 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 out. And then when you feel like you can't really go any further by reaching your arm and your leg, you're lowering it down. So there's a flow to the movement. Reach out to go up. There's a lengthening. In Pilates, one of the core principles is flow. There's really never supposed to be any static holding in Pilates. I know we see a lot of like static plank holds being called Pilates. It's not really classical Pilates. We're supposed to be flowing through the movements, so it mimics a more natural function of our joints. Keep moving through that. We're not really holding. Reach to the end point of your movement, and then bring it back in. Keep those front ribs slightly closed, belly drawing in and up a little bit deeper with every exhale. Check into your head and neck position. Can you gently press the ground away with your hand that's supporting you? Let's do one more each way. Beautiful. And switch. Good. From there, make your way to laying on your back. We're going to start to do a little bit more core work, still with exercise that mobilizes the shoulders and mobilizes the hips a little bit. We're going to find our neutral spine here. So since this is day one, let's take a second to talk about it. I want you to put your heels of your hands on your hip bones, your ASIS bones, and your fingertips on your pubic bone. Those bones should be on the same level, truly parallel to the ground here, to have your neutral pelvis. So you don't want your pubic bone up higher to the sky because that's a tucked pelvis, and you don't want your pubic bone really reaching down through your legs because then you're probably overarching the lumbar spine. So see if you can find that sweet spot in the middle where hip bones and pubic bone are on the same plane. And then in this position, especially if you're coming here because you feel like you have kind of a rounded forward posture, to get into that position, you may have found that your back ribs have lifted up off the mat. We're going to try really hard to let those ribs drop towards the mat. Now, they may not go all the way down yet, and that's okay. Let's just think about it as a goal. You're going to let those ribs drop down into the mat without letting the pelvis tip back towards you. So be aware of that. That's challenging, but so important as we're doing this work. So we find that neutral pelvis. We think about a little sinking in of the ribs, and then we bring both arms up to the sky, shoulder distance apart. Take a moment to just plug those arms down into the shoulder sockets. So we're nice and wide across the collarbones and pretty much relaxed in the chest. From here, bring your right leg up to tabletop position, 90-degree angle at the hip, 90-degree angle at the knee. Bring the left leg up to meet it. Without changing the position of the pelvis or the ribs, exhale to tap your toes down to the mat and reach those arms overhead. And then inhale it back up. Exhale to tap down. And inhale it back up. Take it again. Exhale, tap down. Inhale it up. We've got 3 more there. Tap down. And up. And 2. Keep going. We're exhaling as we reach away, flattening the belly, and then inhaling up, keeping the pelvis and the ribs exactly where they are. I know I said 2 more, but we're going to do 1 more. It feels right. Tap it down and reach it up. Good. Place both feet down and then rest your arms all the way down by your side. Bring your heels in towards your sits bones in a position where you feel like your knees are bent, but not uncomfortable. So if it feels like you're way too close, I want you to shimmy your feet away a bit, but we want to stay close enough that we can really work the hamstrings. Heels in line with sits bones, parallel feet. Press those arms down into the mat. Take a nice big inhale. And then as you exhale, tip your pubic bone towards your belly button and flatten that low back into that mat, that backwards tilt we talked about. And then let that continue so you peel your spine up off the mat and you find a bridge. So everyone's pretty familiar with bridges, but this is a nice articulated bridge so that we're mobilizing the spine a little bit. So we articulated on the way up, but on the way down, to find those upper hamstrings that are really important for holding our pelvis in a neutral position, you're going to dip your tailbone down. So I actually want you to think about like sticking your booty out to lower your hips down, and we're not articulating through the spine. And we'll keep going in that sequence. So first, we articulate through the spine. Roll your pubic bone towards your belly button, melt that belly into the back, and then lead up with your pubic bone, pressing the hips up to the sky, pressing the feet down into the mat, peel the spine off. Take a moment at the top to press your arms into the mat. We get strength through the back of the arms there, openness through the shoulders there. We get nice work for our upper body posture. Pause at the top, and then booty drops first. Stick that tailbone out, arch the low back a little bit to lower. Couple more like that. Roll the hips up. Press into the big toe, pinky toe, and center of the heel really nice and evenly. Dip the tail down to lower. Take it again, rolling up. And dip the tail down. Let's take 2 more. Roll it up. You can go a little faster now. Feeling those knees really point forward. Drop the tail and roll it up. And drop the tail. Beautiful. Nice work. Last thing for today. I just want you to take your right thigh, put your hands behind it, and pull that thigh in towards your chest. And then release it and do that 2 more times. Pull the thigh towards the chest. Try to keep your tailbone, the very base of your pelvis, heavy into the mat, and a little bit of space behind your low back in the mat if you can. 1 more little pull, pull, and release. Pause here, extend your leg up to the sky, stretch through your toes, so you're pointing your toes up to the sky, and then flex your ankle, heel to sky, and bend the knee. Take that again, extend through the knee, extend through the toes, flex through the ankle, bend through the knee. Extend and reach through the toes, flex and bend it in. 2 more. Reach it up, stretch the toes, flex and in. 1 more. Stretch through the knee, stretch through the toes, flex through the foot, bend the knee. Let's relax and do the other side. Check in, find a neutral pelvis, and then try to maintain it even as we're pulling the leg in. It's okay if your pelvis wants to move a little bit, but we're trying to really lengthen the fibers of the hamstring. And if we really tuck our tail, we actually kind of lose that and just put the stretch in the low back. Most of us are kind of used to tucking, so we want to avoid that. So we're pulling it back and releasing and pulling it back and releasing. 1 more, pulling that thigh to the chest and releasing. From there, extend the leg up. Stretch through the toes, flex, and bend it in. And again, we stretch the knee, stretch the toes, flex at the ankle, heel to ceiling, bend it in. 2 more. We're lengthening through the back of the leg, which will help us avoid that tuck. Tight hamstrings are going to tuck our pelvis under and give us that kind of rounded spine posture. Flex and in. Let's go ahead and do 1 more because I've lost count. Extend up and stretch and flex and lower. Place your foot down. Go ahead and come back to a hands and knees position just real quick. Tuck the toes under and then lift your knees off of the mat and lengthen the knees to bring your hips up. Gently walk your hands in towards your feet. Knees can be soft here. Dangle your head down really nice and heavy and then just slowly roll up. Stacking vertebra by vertebra, one on top of the other, pressing down into the feet. Roll your shoulders back. And just take note of how it feels to stand up now versus how it felt standing up at the beginning of your session. Hopefully you're feeling a little something in your body, maybe a little more open, a little bit taller, but it's just day 1. We're just getting started. Join me tomorrow for day 2, and I'll see you soon.